The meeting is live. The meeting is live.
All right, good evening. I would like to call this special meeting of Kimberley City Council for Monday, August 9th, held here on the Tanaha Homelands to order. Welcome back, everybody. It feels like we have been away forever. Tonight's a special meeting because it's outside of the August meeting, the August regular meeting that we had scheduled to deal with a couple of items. So without further ado, first item on business is the ministerial order that we've been going through the pandemic. This allows council members and staff to attend remotely, members of the public not being present at council chambers, and that we broadcast live on the City of Kimberley YouTube channel. Councillor Goodwin moves, Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Any idea how much longer we will be doing that, Maurice?
I would say about until September. We're not allowed
Okay.
to proceed with amendments to our council procedure bylaw until the end of the 90 days after the state of emergency. So
Has been rescinded, which I believe it has, right?
yes, so
We're into the 90 days.
Yeah, it's
Right.
going to be 60 days at the end of September, 90 days at the end of September, and then we're going to be able to proceed for an amendment.
All right, awesome. We'll look forward to that. Next up, we have adoption of the agenda. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Dalla moves, Councillor Roberts seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. All right, we have two items to deal with this evening. First up is the City of Kimberley Water Shortage Response Amendment Bylaw. And our resolution tonight is to give first, second, and third readings to this bylaw. Have a mover, please. Councillor Roberts, thank you. Seconded by Councillor McBain. Discussion. Who's going to speak to this, Scott?
I think Nick is on the line there waiting.
Hi, Nick. Welcome.
Mute.
I think you may be on mute.
So I don't think Nick has been involved with the bylaw. I worked with Chris Montgomery on doing this amendment.
Well, thanks, Maurice. Would you like to give us the overview then, please?
Unless Nick really insists on doing it.
I'm sorry, I had the wrong agenda item. Point two, I confused.
That's okay.
Thanks. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I was on mute. Yeah, I wasn't prepared to speak to this one tonight, so I'll let Maurice stick handle this one if that's all right.
All right, the hot potato moves back to you, Maurice.
So basically, while we were getting ready for stage 2 water restrictions, we kind of looked at how we were going to enforce the water restrictions. We have started giving serious warnings, and we are kind of ready to move into the next phase, which is ticketing. Unfortunately, the way the water shortage response bylaw was set up in the first place, it required a court process in order to issue fines. So, which was the main reason for bringing this amendment forward. And while I was working on the amendments, I kind of noticed a few definitions that were not clear. So we added some clarity in the definitions, and we also added an exceptions to water restriction for the fire chief to give him some authority if there was one section of town that required the use of sprinkler to protect structures.
All right, awesome. So basically some housekeeping, and the main reason is to allow us to actually write tickets for those that are contravening the bylaw.
Exactly. And so we The only item on this agenda to start was the tender award, and when we saw that we had a special meeting, we took the opportunity to bring forward for 3 readings so that we could proceed with the adoption at the regular meeting in August.
All right, Councilor Oakley.
Maurice, I've got just wondering, how was, with stage 1 restrictions, how did that go? Were there problems? Are you getting pushback from people that do not want to abide? Or I'm just curious what the feedback is from the bylaw officer on those.
Well, so Kim has been on leave for the last 3 weeks. So we've basically been acting on complaint driven. And I've been following up on the enforcement, mostly doing education and basically warning people that these are our restrictions. Yeah, but we're definitely ready to move forward with ticketing.
So I guess, yeah, if I could, I guess one of the things I'm just wondering, is this increasing? Are you seeing non-compliance increasing compared to other years when we go into a drought situation? I'm just, I'm just kind of going by gut feeling. Like around my neighborhood, everybody's good. They understand what days and hours they're to use water. And then even on, level 2 there, stage 2 there, they understand that. But I'm just curious about the rest of town, if you're having some difficulty with people not wanting to comply with this.
It's pretty good in general. I'm finding the ones that do have some, it's not necessarily the residents that have they don't have a problem with the water restrictions, but they have problems in resetting their timers. And then we see people not dealing with it. So they're gonna keep watering according to what their timer is saying. So, and now that we're down to only 2 days a week, there's definitely some properties that are continuing to water with their scheduled timer that they did earlier in June.
So I guess, would it be safe to say, Maurice, the reason for bringing this forward now isn't because we're seeing an increase in non-compliance, but that we're prepared to be able to take action if and when non-compliance becomes an issue?
Exactly.
Councillor Goodwin, and then we'll go back to.
Yeah, just there's a small typo in the definition of lawn. I think it should be clover rather than Glover.
Okay.
I hate typos.
You're not familiar with Glover?
Subspecies.
Thanks, Councillor Goodwin.
Well,
go ahead.
If that's okay with council, I will correct that before adoption of the bylaw. It's definitely a typo, like wildlife in the report instead of wildfire.
So I have another question for you, Maurice. It's not really related to the process that council has to work on tonight. But it involves the fire chief. Is there a process involved where the fire chief can determine when there's a drought, and there's not a lot of water going down the creek, that we're actually at a situation where, he has to make a call that we need to stop all watering, or there's not going to be enough to fight fires if there's a fire in town. So I'm just wondering how the interplay is with the fire chief to the bylaw.
Yeah, I can answer that one. It's really the manager of utilities job to make sure there's water in the distribution system up to the hydrant. And it's the chief's job after that to operate the hydrants. So it's Chris Montgomery's call on the drought. We did receive a letter from the province requesting that the entire town cut its water consumption by 30%. And I haven't seen one of those before either. So these drought conditions are certainly making us pay more attention to these bylaws. And I think the public's reporting violations much more often than they would, or than they have in the past.
Yeah, and if, just a clarification, I think inside the bylaw, what this allows the fire chief to do is to actually allow people to use water in the case of extreme drought. I think that was the change that was being made here, not the other way around. Yeah.
if
correct?
there's a threat of wildfire, that.
Yeah. All right, any further questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor?
As amended.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. All right, next up, and actually last item this evening is the Kimbrook Crescent improvements, basically is the tender award. We have a fairly lengthy resolution here with 3 furthers associated with it. So I won't bother reading the whole thing out, but it is to direct staff to prepare an amendment to the 5-year financial plan, that the award is contracted to Terrace Construction, that council approve additional payments to Terrace Construction as per the staff report, and finally that council authorize the chief admin officer or his appointed designate to execute the contract. Mover, please. Thank you, Councillor McBain, and Councillor Roberts seconds. Discussion. Nick, did you want to give us an overview before we ask for questions?
Sure, you betcha. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as the staff report talks about, we recently closed the tender for the Kimbrook Crescent improvements there, which include addition of a storm system through there and then new asphalts throughout. And unfortunately, that came in slightly over budget. Typical to what we've been seeing throughout this year and impacts related to COVID-19, specifically with the PVC pipe pricing. So we've seen numerous increases in pricing throughout the summer on this, and this is the result of what we're seeing here on the increase here. So we're looking to get approval to continue to move forward with this tender with the pricing that came in.
Councillor McBain.
Thanks, Nick. Do you see the price increases as more of a kind of a sustained trend, or do you think it's something that's just a blip right now, or is it too early to tell?
Yeah, probably a little too early to tell. I'm hopeful that it's a blip. Our suppliers are telling us it's supply issues down the supply chain for the PVC material. So I'm hoping once now we're kind of in the tail end of things and we're seeing recovery, I'm hoping those prices will start to come back down in the following years.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Oakley.
I have gone through this, and I would like to suggest that we defeat it and the current motion and try again in 2022. I guess my question for you, Nick, is there anything urgent with this work that requires it to be done in 2021? Could we try again and see if we can get more bids, in the future?
Yeah, thank you. I don't see any dire urgency on this per se. I mean, yeah, the road is in poor condition and there is some pretty good erosion happening throughout there. Would the road last another year to tackle this again in the spring? Yeah, we could make it by for sure. That being said, I'm not sure that we would see a reduction in costs. I mean, it would be a risk there that there's a potential that it could stay the same or go up. We are seeing some good asphalt prices in here currently, which have offset some of those pipe prices. But yeah, the urgency, we could definitely last another year, I would think.
Councillor McBain, then Councillor Dallin.
Yeah, that was part of the reason I asked, because I recall we had a job came in for another paving project that was, I think was under what we had anticipated. So I'm a little hesitant to defer just based on the risk of prices actually getting worse. Exclusive of the condition of the road right now and whether we can get through. I'm a little bit hesitant to push it out just on that fact alone.
Councillor Dallin.
I agree with Councillor McBain. I think that
in the short term, we're not going to get the reprieve that we really would like to have. I actually have a bit of a pessimistic feeling about the potentials coming up here, so I'd like to support this.
Councillor Roberts.
I'm in support of proceeding. I think it's a situation where you're darned if you do and darned if you don't, because we don't know. But what will happen is nothing goes on this year, and then next year, somebody goes by the wayside because we have to push this one another year. And so it's not just this project, but another project that will get sidelined because we're doing this one next year, when we could have been doing something else this year. So I just feel as though these people have worked hard to create a proper plan and budgeted accordingly. The fact that this pops up a little bit more expensive isn't really to do with the paving as much as it is to do with the underground work, which needs doing. And I don't think that you can count on the fact that your PVC is going to be cheaper next year. I'm in favor of proceeding.
So clarification question on that, further to Councillor Roberts' comments, Nick. Is Terrace doing the entire project? In other words, it's not City Crews doing the underground work and them just doing the pavement, or kind of what's the combination?
They are the general contractor on here, and they've subcontracted out McKay to do the underground works.
To do the underground? Okay.
Terrace BA would do the paving, yeah.
Okay. Further questions? So I have one further question, Nick. I think more than the extra cost, I mean, as we've discussed, extra cost is not uncommon on any of the projects that have some kind of a supply chain associated with them. More than that, I'm concerned that we only had one bid come in. And then I saw that the tender actually went out in July. And, you know, I'm not sure that with tenders going out in July, no matter what it's for, that we're going to get a lot of bids, particularly on construction, you know, where things are so busy. Is there a particular reason why we waited until July to put that tender out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not really a matter of fact that we were waiting for it. There's a couple reasons that we were delayed on this. It did say in the staff report we were initially intending to do this with our own forces crews. Unfortunately, with the staff shortages we're seeing on the equipment operator side, that had a big effect. And then we've switched gears and went the contractor route. And then again, in the engineering side of things, completing that design to get it tender ready versus something we can do in-house takes a little bit more effort. And we saw some delays on that front just because we're short staff on the engineering side as well. So there's some compounding factors there that ended up in this coming out pretty late.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Further questions? All right. Call the question. All those in favor of the motion as it stands? Opposed? Councillor Oakley is opposed. Motion is carried.
Mr. Mayor, are you opposed or?
Yeah, no, I'm in favor.
Thank you.
The motion is carried. Thanks for the discussion around that, and thanks, Nick. Much appreciated for your input and the solid work you do.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for coming to the special meeting here tonight.
All right. Do we have anything further to discuss for the good of Kimberley? Okay, hearing none, move to adjourn. Councillor Dallum moves, Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? The motion is carried. We are adjourned. Thanks, folks.
Is that a record?
No. We got a little windy there on the first one. I was thinking we might be able to set one tonight, but
Get to the contacts. You're going way too.
oh,
Oh, I know that part.
spread it out a little bit. Yeah.
I have to say one. Could this be postponed?
You know what, if you had
And why did the tender?
four bids come in from different companies, they know